Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Luz, and on this week's video, we're going to be talking about every single book I read in the month of September. I read 10 books in the month of September, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, was it quite the month. We had a 1-star read and a 6-star read in September, so we were yo-yoing between all ends of the scale. It was a very mixed bag, let me tell you. So that being said, let me grab all of the books that I read in the month of September and then we can chat about them. So grab yourselves a drink, let's get cozy, and let's talk September reads. Let's start off with the not so good. The first book I read in September was a thriller. I was so excited. I was excited to have a thriller thrown in the mix. I haven't read any thrillers all year, so this was actually my first thriller. And I was like, yeah, this sounds like the perfect idea. Love that I'm reading a new genre. I do enjoy thrillers typically when I read them. Yeah, let's switch out romance palette cleansers and chuck a little thriller palette cleanser in there. You know, it's autumnal, it's spooky season. Why the heck not? Yeah. We did not get off to the greatest start. One by One by Frida McFadden. Now, Frida, she's got a reputation for being an amazing thriller author. A lot of her books are people's go-tos in terms of thrillers, but I know that some of her books are great and some of her books are not so great. I really wasn't sure where One by One fell on the scale of thrillers. Oh, yeah, this really should have been a DNF for me. I gave it 1 star. And I gave it 1 star because I kept hoping it was gonna improve. I kept hoping it was gonna get better. And normally when you read a thriller, the end is where like the plot twist really like comes together. Everything happens at the end. It culminates to this amazing twist that you can't see coming if it's done right. And so I was like, yeah, I'm holding out for that to happen with this. Oh God. I said this in my Goodreads review, but this had plot twists flatter than week old Diet Coke. That was how flat this fell for me. In the beginning, the first half, they're just arguing. They're arguing 24/7 and I'm like, guys, can we move on? I'm over this. Let something else happen, please. And then, not to spoil anything for anybody, but people start getting unalived. That's what starts to happen. And these characters, they're like sad for a second and then they move on as though nothing's happened, as though they shouldn't be scared, as though they shouldn't be on their guard. I didn't buy into it, I didn't believe it, and I was like, guys, where are all your brain cells? Why have they left you? You've entered into these woods and suddenly none of you have got a good idea in sight. Make it make sense. I honestly have never been as disappointed with a book as I have been with this. This is probably my most disappointing read of the year. Not that I had majorly high hopes because it's a thriller, you know, I'm not that invested, I'm not that set on it. So would I be recommending this to you guys? No, but then I'm not really a go-to thriller girly. So take that with a pinch of salt. You might enjoy it. It's super quick, super easy to get through, and also super easy to DNF. That is what I would say about this one. So sadly, not for me. And then I don't actually know what was in the air at the start of this month because I moved on to Vows and Ruin by Helen Shewart. Now, I told you guys how much I loved Blood and Steel. It was such an incredible first book, loved it. Really strong start to the series, so much promise, loved the whole concept, really loved the characters, was so invested in them. And then we got to book 2. Why did the wheels kind of fall off with book 2? Please tell me why this book was just 80% of the way. 80% of the way through Spice. Back to back. Absolutely no plot whatsoever. Like, what actually happened with the plot? Where did it move on? The last 20%, amazing. If the whole book had have been like the last 20%, it would have been so good. If the spice had have been intermingled with plot and with character development and all the things that we had in book 1, oh, I would have loved it. I would have loved it so much. I would have had the best time. There was nothing to work for. The slow burn that we had in book 1 completely evaporated with book 2. And I was just really like, come on, please, can you give me something else? Something needs to happen with the story here. Like, I'm reading this for the story and the story is going absolutely nowhere. I genuinely felt like the entire book was just their relationship. On again, off again, on again, off again. Spice, 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 on, off, spice, spice. That was the premise. And then the last 20%, boy, oh boy, oh boy, did the last 20% pack a punch. The last 20% was full of every single thing I loved about book one, and it was just a really, really fantastic ending, and the ending really made me want to continue with this series. But that first 80%, I was like, I need to take a little break. I need to take a little break. It's not making me super keen for the series, but that ending really, really saved this book for me. So I ended up giving this 3 stars, and I'm kind of hoping that in book 3, we can kind of pick up where we left off and the plot can just really accelerate, and we can move forward with the characters and the character development and the plot and the sprinkle of spice that was exactly like it was in book 1, and not just majorly spice dominant with nothing else happening like with book 2. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that one. But then we kind of saved the day. We saved the day because the next read that we have is literally one of my favorite reads of the year. It was so good, and honestly, I was like, thank God for this book. And the book in question was In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. Oh, this reads like a gorgeous Gothic fairy tale, filled to the brim with siren lore, prophecies, and dark magic. And honest to God, guys, a slow burn so hot that it simmers and sizzles underwater. That's the kind of experience you're in for with this. I was screaming, kicking my feet, giggling the entire way through. I was living for every single page. This is an absolute autumn must. And this book follows Imogen. She's our female main character. She's a siren. The kingdom where she lives, sirens are believed to be monsters. So she stays in hiding. She stays away from the sea until a neighboring king comes to visit. And he believes that she is the lost siren heiress. They venture on this quest together, but as the lines between desire and the duty for their people start to blur, Imogen comes to the realization that sometimes in order to defeat the monster, she has to become one. Yeah, that's the time you're in for with this. As soon as I started reading this from chapter 1, I was enthralled, I was captivated, and I could not for the life of me put this book down or think about anything else. It completely consumed me. Completely, in its entirety. God, even thinking about it now, it just makes me want to reread. This was just something else. Not to mention that this is just filled to the brim with yearning and angst. And then you top all that off with a lyrical, beautiful prose. This is what you get within the Veins of the Drowning. If you loved One Dark Window and that was your kind of cup of tea, you will absolutely love this book. In case you're wondering, 6 stars, God tier, all the way. Give me book 2 right now. And even though I was on holiday, and I was on a summer holiday, I read 2 dark reads. I read In the Veins of the Drowning, and then I also followed it up with Nightshade by Autumn Woods. And again, in case you couldn't tell from all of my tabs, I absolutely loved this book. It's so atmospheric. It is set within rainy Scotland, and it is just a gorgeous dark academia autumnal read. It is a dark academia romance novel, I would say, rather than being classed as a dark academia fantasy. There isn't really any fantasy elements in this one, but oh boy did I love this all the same. It's got a really twisty plot that keeps you on your toes, keeps you guessing, keeps you thinking, who done it? Could it be this person? Is it this person? Do I trust this person? Do I loathe this person? Do I like this person? Whose motives are aligning with whose, and who's the bad guys, who's the good guys in this? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Alongside that, you have honestly got one of the most dreamy MMCs I've ever come across. He's tattooed, he's French speaking, he's a tortured soul brooding MMC who also sends the hottest cryptic crosswords known to humankind in the world ever. The crosswords that he sends alone will bring me to my knees. I guarantee. They had me screaming. I was like, oh, and the dynamic between them, I was living and loving for. Do I think the FMC in this will be everybody's cup of tea? No, No, I don't. However, I didn't mind it. She wasn't my favourite, but I also didn't mind it. It was really interesting to see an overstimulated empath kind of FMC who feels everything so deeply, because I could relate. I could really relate to that, and I enjoyed seeing that portrayed in the book. I also think that the mental health representation that we see in our MMC, chef's kiss. Done so well, so beautifully, and I love to see mental health rep, especially in male main characters. I just feel like that's something that we don't get to see often, so when we do, I'm always like, oh, okay, I absolutely love this so much. If you're looking for an autumnal, atmospheric, dark academia read with a gorgeous chemistry and romance between our two main characters, you're gonna love. You're gonna absolutely bloody love. I gave this 4.5 stars, and I will definitely be carrying on with this series, you can bet. Then we moved on to a proof that I was lucky enough to receive, and it's Stephanie Garber's Alchemy of Secrets. I was really excited for this. This is Stephanie's first adult fantasy, and I love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. That series, especially book 2, yeah, absolutely love it. Love how enchanting her writing is and how transportive her books are, how you just get lost within them. And I also obviously love Eva and Jax to my very core. So I was like, ooh, I'm excited to see what she does within the adult Sophia and how that portrays. I have mixed thoughts about this one, because this felt very similar to Caraval for me. So if you loved and enjoyed Caraval and you wanted a more adult version, I think you'll enjoy this. For me, the issue I had was that it didn't really feel adult. I didn't feel adult. If you hadn't have told me it was adult, I would have assumed that it was YA. So this has got such a unique magic system, and definitely a plot that's going to keep you guessing the entire time. And I guess the reason why it reminded me of Caraval so much is because you're constantly trying to figure out who you can trust. You're constantly like, are we being told the truth here, or are we being misled? Is it intentionally misled? Are we being double bluffed? What's what, who's who? And I really enjoyed that aspect of this book. And I really did enjoy piecing together the mysteries and all the pieces of the puzzle that we got fed as the story progressed, but just felt a little bit YA, even though it's not supposed to. And so for that reason, I ended up giving this 3 stars. And it's just mostly because I just couldn't connect with our female main character. But I think if you loved Caraval, then you'll absolutely love this one. And I am really intrigued to see what everybody thinks when this one comes out. This next book I had really high hopes for. I just thought, I don't know, I love the premise of it, I love the concept of it, and I was hoping and praying that this was going to be really special. And the book I'm talking about is Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. I was sadly really disappointed with this one. Let's talk about the good things first. So the things that I really enjoyed about this is the friendships. The friendships really carry this story, and they're really special, and I loved seeing how the dynamics of these friendships played out. And the plot had a lot of potential. The plot really could have been something. That being said, why did I feel like something was missing? Why did I feel like this had all the potential in the world, and yet it just fell flat? It just fell flat, and I was sad about it. Don't get me wrong, the ending really ramps up, and getting all of the different POVs that you get throughout this book gives you this multi-layered POV, and you are seeing the ending come together through different narratives and different lenses, and I loved that. It gave it so much more depth. But my God, was I falling asleep with this. I was struggling to push through, and I kept thinking, come on, like, give me something. Why am I not connecting with this? Why is this just not hitting how it should? All the potential is there, and yet there's just something missing here, and I can't quite figure out what it is. I wasn't sure whether perhaps it was a little bit too juvenile, so then nothing really hit its mark as well as it could have. That was a potential thought that I had. I just had such mixed feelings on this one. So I gave it 2.5 stars, and sadly for me, again, just didn't love this one like I thought I was gonna. But as soon as we finished that, we jumped into The Order of Mass by Alina Bell Chambers. And this, I read the synopsis of this and I was like, please, can it just do what it says it's gonna do on the tin? Can this be as good as I hope it's gonna be? This one did not disappoint. This one came through with everything it said and more. And honest to God, from the get-go, from chapter 1 all the way until the very end, it is go, 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 and you have got plot twists aplenty. At the end of every chapter, I felt like it was the end of the book with the cliffhangers that we had at the end of every chapter. I'm like, oh, Alina, you're really gonna do that to us with this? You're gonna leave us here, you're gonna give us this information and that's how we're working. Yeah, this was a whirlwind. I just absolutely had the time of my life with this. It was just easy to consume, page turner, fast-paced, action-packed, 2 powerhouse FMCs, and you're getting dual POV the entire way through. You've got Scarlet, who's a princess, you've got Mira, who's a circus performer. Their paths cross. They have to figure out whether they're going to be co-conspirators or rivals. It's every man for himself with this one, truly. Our FMCs, they're making bold moves left, right, and center. And 1 minute you're rooting for Scarlet, 1 minute you're rooting for Mira, and it constantly has you second guessing. You're like, do I like her? Do I trust her judgments? Do I trust her actions? Am I supposed to be rooting for her, or am I supposed to be rooting for her? What's gonna happen here? It's constantly like question mark, question mark, question mark, in the best possible way, keeping you on your toes, making you work for it. Oh, and I loved it. I gave this 4.5 stars and oh my God, I cannot wait for book 2. I just need to know what's happening next, especially with that ending. And then I read From Lukov with Love. And this is basically a figure skating romance with depth. That is how I would describe this one. Initially in the beginning, I was like, oh, yeah, you got 2 kind of rival figure skaters. They end up paired together. Who's surprised? Not me. What's gonna happen? Is it just gonna be predictable? But actually this was so wholesome. It was just so wholesome, exactly what I was needing. And I love the dynamic between our 2 main characters. My favorite things were the things that went unsaid. The blinks that said, I understand. The looks that said, I see you. All of the in-betweens, those were my favorite moments. And they really made this story sing. I loved how they created space for each other. I loved how they challenged each other. I love that we got to see the figure skating element in more depth as well, and how that kind of gave a different dimension to their relationship, both romantically and professionally too. And this was truly like one of the best slow burn romances I've ever seen. It was a slow burn with nuance and with depth, and I just loved it. I loved it. It was so wholesome, so good, made me smile, and I had a really good time. I gave this one 4 stars, and I will be definitely reading more Mariana Zapata books in the future. And then finally, we read Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rowich. Oh, well, damn. This is how you do a book one in a series. That's first things first. That's what I want to say. Like, this is how it's done. The entire way through, again, another book that had me second guessing myself. I was like, I love this character so much. They are dark, they're delicious, everything I could want. And yet, I just don't know if I am being gaslit here. Are they who they say they are? Do I trust them? I don't know. So many of the elements in this book really reminded me of Handmaid's Tale, just in the sense of how oppressed the Fae were and their treatment. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is giving Handmaid's Tale kind of vibes here. And I love the Handmaid's Tale so much, one of my faves of all time. And I also am like, yes, come on Tessa, like, where's your feminine rage? Where is that inner fire that I just know is waiting to be released? When are we gonna see that? This is definitely one of those stories where you go on a huge character journey with our characters, in particular Tessa. I think that Tessa isn't my favorite female main character I've ever experienced or read about. And at times I was questioning some of the things that she was doing and how she was behaving. But then it all kind of becomes clear once you get to the end and you're like, oh, okay, we're on this journey with her. She's learning, she's growing. And as a reader, we're learning and growing with her. And that is one of those things I love about books like this. Like, that is really special, I think, to experience that. It was heartbreaking at times, and there were definitely moments that shocked me to my core. And with this one, they really said slow burn. Emphasis on the slow, emphasis on the burn. Yeah, this is how you do a slow burn, in my opinion. Yeah, the entire book had me questioning what the heck I actually even knew, who was telling the truth, who's good, who's bad, and I loved every single page. I gave this 4.25 stars, and I have a feeling that the ratings are only going to get higher as we progress throughout the series. And you better believe I cannot wait to share the rest of my thoughts and feelings on this series with you guys. And finally, last but by no means least, drumroll, we finished the month with our reread of Throne of Glass. Now, when I first read Throne of Glass years and years ago, I gave this 5 stars. I was a very generous reviewer. I was a very generous 5-star giver back then. I was giving out 5 stars like they were candy. And I have no shame in that. Like, good for me. Yeah, why not? Why not be generous in your reviews? And then as my reading taste has expanded and has become more defined and I know what I like, I was like, I'm really interested to see how I find this the second time round. Now it's been a few years since I've read it. Am I gonna love it as much? Is it still gonna be my all-time favorite? Are these characters gonna be as dear to me as they were the first time round? What's gonna happen here? What kind of review and rating are we gonna give this? This for me was probably even more special the second time around. I have a whole new appreciation for these characters and this world, and I honestly had the best time. My heart was so happy. I didn't ever want this book to end, truly. I was like, no, I could stay here. No, I could stay here within the pages of this book forever and be truly happy. I'm done. What I loved in particular was obviously being back with our main characters in this. I have a whole new appreciation for Dorian. I was loving the interactions between Selena and Dorian so much. I was like, oh. And also, one thing that I had kind of forgotten was that I thought Selena got like more braver and bolder as the books went on. And yes, she definitely does. She, without a doubt, is one of my all-time favorite female main characters ever to read. But I forgot how sparky and how fiery and feisty she is from the get-go. From the get-go. She's had that all along. That was always who she was. And I loved seeing this book from the perspective of like, I know what happens with the next books. I know where the story goes. And so you kind of go into this book just enjoying the innocence of them not knowing what's coming next, of them not knowing how the story is going to play out. And that was so special for me. So I gave this 4 stars. And I just had the best time, and I'm really gonna enjoy my rereading experience of rereading the next books over the next few months and seeing how I get on with those too. Ah, what a way to wrap up the month. So if you were to say, okay Liz, which was your favourite book of September and which was your least favourite book of September? I think it's pretty obvious, but my favourite book of September was In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. 6 stars, good tier. I'll be recommending this to every single one of you forevermore, especially in autumn. Get this on your TBRs, get this read. You're not going to be disappointed. And then my least favourite book, sadly, is One by One by Frida McFadden. We've got a 6-star read, we've got a 1-star read, we have got both at both ends of the scale. Oh, guys. What a month it's been. It's been a roller coaster. That's my fave, that's my least fave. What books have you read and loved and enjoyed? Let me know in the comments. I want to know what September's been like for you guys. But that is everything for this week's video. Thank you so much as always for watching. I hope you guys have an absolutely gorgeous week, and I will see you at the next one.